tutorial 7, pages 430 to 438. Okay, this section, 7.3, is very different from what we normally do. You cannot stop this and then come back later. You have to have enough time to do all of section 7.3 from page 430 to page 450 without stopping. Now, the other thing is I normally tell you save, save, save. You cannot save until page 450, and we're on page 430. So, first of all, make sure that this document that we have is right here, right now, is saved, okay? Because if something terrible goes wrong, you can close it without saving your changes and reopen it and be back to where you need to be on page 430. The other thing you can do is to make a copy right now and make this, tutorial 7 up to page 427, just in case you have a backup copy in case you need to start again. Okay, so that being said, let's go to page 430. Automating tasks with macros. You need to read this very, very carefully. Macros are not a joke. They're extremely powerful and I love them, but you have to be careful because it's going to record every single keystroke. If it's recording every click of the mouse and every keystroke, you can't make a mistake or you have to start over. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to display a new tab on our ribbon. So on page 430, let's look at to display the developer tab on the ribbon. Step number 1. We should be in our youth soccer workbook with the receipt worksheet active. Look for the developer tab on the ribbon. Okay, you shouldn't have it. If you're working at the school, you definitely shouldn't have it. There's no developer tab up there. So what we're going to do is on the ribbon, we're going to go to File, and then on the Backstage view, we're going to go to Options, File and Options. Okay, on the left-hand panel, you're going to see where it says Customize the ribbon. See it right there? Customize the ribbon. Go ahead and click that. Okay, so now we have all these different commands we can add onto our ribbon. We've got our tabs over here. So in the right pane over here where it says Main Tabs, do you see right down here where it says Developer and there's no check mark? Put a check mark in there. And then we're just going to click on OK. And now you're going to see your ribbon jump around a little bit, and there it is. There's our Developer tab. Okay, pretty simple. If you didn't get that, just go back over the instructions again. It's very, very easy. All right, on page 431, read about protecting against macro viruses. Very important that you know about this because macros are a great way for someone to give you a virus. So you have to read about it and about your macro security settings, because as we are using these files with macros, our security settings are going to be popping up and asking us questions about, are you sure you really want to open this and enable that, because you don't know what's in it. So just make sure you read through that and you understand it. All right, page 432. Let's go to our Developer tab. And on the Developer tab, in the Code group, there's your Code group right there, click the Macro Security button. And there's your Macro Security button. That opens the Trust Center dialog box with the macro settings category displayed. So here's our Trust Center dialog box and our macro settings displayed. Okay. In the macro settings section, click the Disable All Macros with Notifications option button. So mine's already selected. So Disable All Macros with Notification is right there. All right. Click OK. That's all we had to do is make sure that was turned on, and it's very important. So go ahead and click OK. All right, page 433. You need to read all about this, particularly about recording a macro. You need to know what VBA is. Flip over to page 434. Learn about macro names, up to 255 characters. Okay. You cannot have any spaces. You cannot have special characters. And you need to know where your macros are stored. Okay, you have to know how macros are stored and where they are, because they don't work. It's not like just a file you can go open. You have to know where that macro is stored. So make sure you read about everything on page 434 and the top of page 435. Okay, are you ready? Because this is the part we're going to start, and you can't stop. You can't take a break. You can't do anything. And you have to be able to get all the way through this click by click. So here we go. To start the macro recorder on page 435, first of all it says, for the love of all that's holy, save this workbook. Okay? Which I told you to do before we even started, but just in case, smack a save on that before we go any farther. If everything goes south on you, then you will close without saving and start again, and this document will be right where you need to start again on page 435, okay? All right, here we go. On the Developer tab in the Code group, click the Record Macro button. Developer tab, Code group, Record Macro. The Record Macro dialog box opens. The macro name box displays a default name for the macro that consists of the word macro followed by a number that is 1 greater than the number of macros already recorded in the workbook during the current Excel session. Flip to page 436. In the macro name box, type PDF receipt. You know I'm going to tell you to stop and check your spelling, right? Make sure you get it spelled right. Okay, now click your tab. In the shortcut key box, type a lowercase letter r. Okay, that sets the Control R key as the shortcut to run the macro from the keyboard. Press your tab key. Verify that the Store Macro in box is set to this workbook to store the macro in the Youth Soccer workbook. Okay, it says this workbook. If it doesn't, just hit the down pointing arrow and select it. And now we're going to go to the description box. Okay, so we're going to type created for 1/2016. Save receipt area. Oops. A18, F37, PDF file. All right, real quick check. When you have that all spelled correctly and put in there like the book wants you to, you go ahead and you click on OK. The workbook enters macro record mode. The record macro button changes to the stop recording button, which also appears on the status bar. Okay? Now, see right here we have stop recording. Okay? So when you get ready to stop, you can click that one or you can click this one. Now, don't click anything right now because you are recording. From this point on, every mouse click and keystroke you perform will be recorded and stored as part of the PDF receipt macro. Okay? So, slow and careful. To record the PDF receipt macro, select the range A18 through F37. So, here's A18. There's F37. This range contains the receipt that you want to print. On the ribbon, click the Page Layout tab. In the Page Setup group, click the Print Area button. Okay? Remember, slow and easy on this. Make sure you get everything right. Okay, so in the Page Setup group, click the Print Area button, and then click Set Print Area. The receipt is set as the print area. Next, you'll insert a custom header. Step number 4. In the Page Setup group, click the dialog box launcher to open the Page Setup dialog box. There we go. Click the Header and Footer tab, and then click the Custom Header button to open the Header dialog box. Click in the Center section box and type slowly, because we don't want to make any typos on this, no pressure whatsoever, registration receipt. Okay, it does not matter how slow you go. You can go, one keystroke every 30 seconds. It doesn't matter if it's slow. All it matters is that it's accurate. Okay, so we have that in there, and we're going to click OK. Now, in the Page Setup dialog box, click the Margins tab. Right there. Click the horizontally checked box to select it, and then click OK. Okay, center on page. horizontally, and then it says to click OK. On the ribbon, click the File tab to open the Backstage view. File, then click Export in the navigation bar. Export. On the export screen, make sure Create PDF/XPS document is selected in the left pane. That's right there and selected. And then click the Create PDF/XPS button in the right pane. Right there. The Publish as PDF or XPS dialog box opens, which is similar to the Save As dialog box. In the file name box, type Receipt. Make sure the folder is set to the location that you normally save your homework. Okay, so right up here, you're going to go through and make sure that this is correctly set to where you want it to save. Now, just click the Publish button. The receipt is saved as a PDF file and automatically opens in Adobe Reader or Adobe Acrobat, depending on which program is installed on your computer. Now, my computer is set not to open that file. It's just set to save it just like I told it to. Yours is probably set to open it. I have a default changed on my home computer so that doesn't happen. Just go ahead and close the PDF file. Okay? All right. Step number 14. On the Page Layout tab in the Page Setup group, Page Layout tab, Page Setup group, click the Print Area button and click Clear Print Area. In the Page Setup group, click the Dialog Box Launcher. To open the Page Setup dialog box, click the Header and Footer tab, then click the Custom Header button. Go into the center section and delete the text that's there and click OK. In the Page Setup dialog box, which is where we are, click the Margins tab. Then click the horizontally checked box so the printout is no longer centered. So we're going to turn off this box right here. Then click OK. Then do a quick Control Home. Okay? And you've completed all the steps in the PDF receipt macro. You're going to turn off the macro recorder. Click the Stop Recording button on the status bar. The macro recorder turns off and the button changes to the Record Macro button. Okay? That's it. You did it. Yay! All right, now you can breathe, but do not save. And you're going to learn about why in a few minutes, but don't do it. All right, let's run the macro. All right, on the bottom of page 437, read about running a macro. Then flip to page 438, and let's do it. On the ribbon, click the Developer tab. In the Code group, click the Macros button. Code group, here's our Macros button. The macro dialog box opens, listing all of the macros in the open workbooks. Verify that PDF receipt is selected, and it is, in the macro name box, and then click the Run button. Okay? Now, you should have an Adobe Acrobat file that opened for you, that, it created the receipt. Go ahead and close that Adobe file. Now, press the Control-R key, make sure it works that way as well, and then once that Adobe file opens, go ahead and close it again. All right? Got it so far? Do not hit save, but you are ready to go on to your next video.